The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. We're also brought to you by Birddogs Shorts. The world's greatest shorts are hooking you up with a free Yeti-style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. That's birddogs.com/pool. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Sunday evening, currently 5:16 on the East Coast. Here to get into the Monday schedule on the Diamond, 10-game schedule. We have lines for about 8 games. I think the 2 games we're missing we'll discuss here momentarily. But joining me, help me to break down the betting card for the Monday games. You guys know him as the voice on the NBA Gambling Podcast and here on the MLB Gambling Podcast. It's Delonte Smith. Delonte, how you feeling, my man?
Yeah, man, pretty good. Got some decent baseball going on right now, actually. Yeah, man, looking forward to breaking down the card with you, and glad you could join us on your Father's Day.
Yeah, man. Want to wish all of our listeners, if you are a father or everybody's fathers, actually, man, happy Father's Day. It's been a great day thus far, but just wanted to take a quick second here to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. Hope you're enjoying your day. Hope you got some family time and spend some time with your loved ones. So, yeah, man. 10-game schedule, like I mentioned, Delonte, on a Monday. We have lines for 8 games. I think the 2 games that we were missing was the White Sox and what was the other game?
San Diego and who are they playing? San Francisco. San
Francisco. Yeah. So we're just missing pitchers for, I think it's the White Sox we're missing source. So no lines. We'll kind of skip over those games. But again, like I remind everybody, to make sure to check out our picks over on sportsgamblingpodcast.com/MLB picks. Just go to the website, hit MLBC MLB picks, and we do our very best to have our picks up there every single day for you guys to whether tell us or fade us. You probably should have been fading me over the last couple of days because has not been good for me over the last few days. I took the Dodgers run line -1.5 on Saturday night, and they got absolutely buried 15-0 in that game. So, yeah, hopefully we can turn out within this new week here, Delonte. Why don't we just dive right into it, my man? First game on the board, we have an early start tomorrow. It's going to be a 4:05 Eastern start. Yep. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Washington Nationals. I am currently seeing Jack Flaherty is getting the start here for the St. Louis Cardinals, and Josiah Gray gets a start here for the Washington Nationals. Jack Flaherty -155, road favorite here, +135 on the money line for the Nationals. Total set at 9 with the big towards the over at -115. Run line for the Cardinals -1.5 at even money and +1.5 -120. For the Washington Nationals. Lante, lead us off, my man.
Yeah, man. So both teams in bad form right now. St. Louis 3-7 in the last 10. Washington 2 of 8. But I would say Washington was more competitive in their little streak of their last 10 games than St. Louis was. I mean, people keep waiting for St. Louis to turn it around, and I mean they might, but it's looking bad right now. They struggle on the road, 15-22. Washington struggles at home, 11-23. So I was having a hard time kind of picking and choosing which side I wanted to be on. So I'm probably just going to go with the Washington on the run line. St. Louis has won 4 of the last 5 between the two. I like Josiah Gray at home. He's allowed a 1 earned run in 3 of his last 4 home starts. He was roughed up by Philly in his last home start. But, I mean, Philly, like we spoke about Philly being we're getting comfortable with their offense, and their bats have been doing well this month. So no shame in that. Flaherty, he's actually been better on the road this year than he has at home. 1 earned run or fewer allowed in 3 of his last 4 road starts. So both pitchers on the mound. Flaherty's more up and down. I mean, Josiah Gray is. I mean, he pitches well, but he just doesn't. I guess Washington doesn't bring their offense whenever he pitches. If you look at some of the numbers there. I'll likely be leaning to the home dog and probably play him on the run line. Washington is 36-26, 36-28. I'm sorry, on the run line this year as a dog. St. Louis 12-30 as a favorite. So give me Washington on the run line, and I'll sprinkle a little bit on the plus price, but nothing strong for me at all.
Yeah, for Flaherty, he had gotten off to a great start. We had talked about this over his last about 5 to 6 starts. He had looked
Mhm.
really good for the St. Louis Cardinals, and then he regressed big time against the San Francisco Giants. And I think there's no shame into that because the Giants, again, quietly have been playing really good baseball over this past week or so. I know they've been taking it to the Dodgers. Like I mentioned, they got that 15-0 victory on Saturday against the Dodgers. And I think they're currently up 3-1 right now. So, um, I'm not sure if it warrants for me to lay a minus 155 price on Jack Flaherty. Like you mentioned, he has been better on the road thus far this season by a mile. But again, it hasn't really translated to wins for the Cardinals in his starts. There was a stretch where he did win, or the Cardinals, I should say, had won 4 games in a row while he was on the mound, but they've lost 3 of his last 3 starts. In the last 3 games where they lost to the Pirates on the road, they did beat the Rangers, and like I mentioned, against the Giants for Jack Flaherty. And then on the other side, Josiah Gray, I feel like earlier in the season, Delonte, he had found his form, but over his last 3 games, he has regressed a little bit. He's allowed a total of 9 earned runs over the last 3 games combined for, let's see here, 17 and 1/3 innings. The Nationals have lost 2 straight starts, but they were against 2 of the better offenses in the
Yeah.
league. It was against
Yeah.
the Braves and then against the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals were able to put up some runs on Sunday afternoon against the Mets, but yeah, I agree with you. I think I would look at the +1.5 here on the Nationals, and when in doubt, maybe just take the Nationals as a home puppy here against
Mhm.
the St. Louis Cardinals.
It seems like when Josiah Gray's pitching, he's always going against offenses that are either on a roll or about to start their roll. Like you mentioned, the 2 offenses that he went against his last 2 outings. But I mean, like it's just very unlucky for a pitcher. But he hangs in, every now and then. I mean, sometimes it just gets away from him. He doesn't get a lot of offense
Yeah,
from Washington when he's on the mound. So yeah.
yeah, great. All right, before we continue the conversation here, let me tell everyone about Edge Boost. This episode is supported by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge currently offers up to 2,500 in betting advances, which can be extremely valuable tool. Imagine what you can do with an increased bankroll. Get down on some of your favorite futures without having to tie up your money or bankroll for months. Double down on your favorite bet, or even use it to create an awesome middle or even a hedge opportunity. Edge Boost isn't some sleazy loan shark. No, as they charge 0% interest. Do you know of a way you can access more money to place on your favorite bets without paying any interest? Well, Edge Boost can also be part of a responsible gaming plan where you can set up daily, weekly, monthly limits across all your betting accounts in one place. So support SGPN and help us grow and also grow your bankroll at the same time by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's keep it rolling here, Lonto. The next game on the board, I'm seeing I believe it's an interleague matchup here between the Miami Marlins at home. They are hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm currently seeing Jose Berrios gets the start here for the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm seeing Brian Hoeing is going to get the start here for the Miami Marlins. Blue Jays are a minus 140 road favorite here, plus 120 on the money line for the Miami Marlins. Total set at 8.5.
Yep.
Run line minus 1.5, plus 120 for the Blue Jays, and plus 1.5, minus 140 for the Marlins here, Delonte. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna keep riding the Marlins, man. They're hot right now. Winners of 7 of the last 10, 21 and 13 at home. They also cover 7 of the 10 run lines. So they're pretty much, if they're winning the game, they're covering the run line. And it's pretty much been the same story with the Blue Jays as we've all been saying it. At least since I've been coming on, it's been a constant thing about them being inconsistent. 5-5 in their last 10, up and down throughout that process. Blew a few games. And also, lost a few games they should have won a few games they should have lost. But it's just signs of inconsistency for me. Barrios was roughed up in April, but he bounced back nicely since. He's been doing it against solid, offenses. New York, I think twice, Baltimore, Tampa, and Atlanta. Those are 4 of the premier offenses in the MLB, and he's pitched well against them. He's had 2 earned runs or fewer in his last 5 games. Looked really, really good against the O's. His last road start only allowed 3 hits in 7 innings and no earned runs. So yeah, man, I like a low scoring game here. I like the under 8.5. I like Miami. I think they're in better form right now. I can see the confidence going with those guys. I mean, they're hitting the ball extremely well, putting it in play, getting guys on base, and being able to capitalize there, man. So I like Miami. Not really going to overthink it. Uh, I like Barrios. I guess a little more than consensus. But I mean, Miami's not a power team or by any means. They don't score a lot of runs. So I think that under is the best play. But I'll definitely take Miami as the home pup here also.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see Jose Beers has been pitching this well thus far this season for the Toronto Blue Jays. On the season, 7-4, 3.28 ERA. He's been really good over his last 3 games, 2-0 with a 1.37 ERA. The Blue Jays have won 5 straight starts when Jose Beers is on the mound, and he hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs since May 18th, which was against the New York Yankees. But since then, he's been an absolute machine for the Toronto Blue Jays. On the other side, Brian Owing hasn't been too bad himself over his last 5 games. He's been coming out of the bullpen for them, so it seems like it's going to be a bullpen day for the Miami Marlins. He's pitched 7 1/3 innings combined, only allowed 1 earned run in that span. 11 2/3 innings pitched at home in Miami. He's only allowed 2 earned runs. I'm going to trust Berrios here, man. I feel like this minus 140 price is a little bit cheap. So I'm gonna go with Jose Berrios here. I feel like he's in good form here right now. I also do agree about the under that you mentioned in this game right now. It's at what 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah.
Again, it's gonna be depending. I think the Blue Jays are gonna have to do a bulk of the scoring in this matchup. I know the Marlins were able to get to the Washington Nationals pitchers a little bit over their weekend series, but I think Berrios will really do a great job of limiting the bats here for the Marlins. So I'm going to go with the minus 140 price on the Blue Jays and on the under 8.5 with you on the total. Next game on the board, 6:40 Eastern start. It is Jordan Lyles Day. Kansas City Royals are in Detroit to take on the Tigers. Like I mentioned, Jordan Lyles gets a start for the Kansas City Royals. Reese Olson gets a start for the Detroit Tigers. Tigers are a minus 150 home favorite here, plus 130 on the money line for the Kansas City Royals. Total of 9 with the VIG on the over at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 130 for the Tigers, plus 1.5 minus 150 for the Kansas City Royals. Let me start with Reese Olson, the home pitcher for the Tigers. Thus far this season, he's faced two. I'll say, let me start with this. His first 2 starts against the White Sox and the Phillies, he was absolutely phenomenal. 10 innings combined. He only allowed 3 earned runs in that span. And his last start was against the Atlanta Braves. Now, Lonte, I don't know how much we can really take away from that start because the Braves are absolutely obliterating every pitcher that they're seeing.
Anybody.
It's
yeah,
just
it's crazy.
bad right now for opposing pitchers against the Braves. And we saw it over the weekend series against the Rockies, where they got down 5-0 today in that game, and they went on to win that game 14-6. So
man, unreal.
Yeah, the bats are hard right now for the Braves. So I'm not sure how much we can really take away from that. Again, it was also for his first home start as well. I mean, on the other side, you guys know I've been talking about how much I've been fading Jordan Lyles, and he's just been a money-making machine. If you've been fading him, the Royals have lost every single one of his starts thus far this season. He has an 0-11 record, a 6.89 ERA. On the road, 0-5 with a 9.10 ERA. I think I give a lot of credit to the Tigers. They went into Minnesota this weekend and won a series. I want to say they took either 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 against the Minnesota Twins. So it feels like the bats have also picked up for the Detroit Tigers here. And Javier Baez, it looks like he's turned it around as well. On the road thus far this season, like I mentioned, 9.10 ERA for Jordan Lyles. I'm trying to see what the final scores have been in those games, or at least the runs that he's given up. So against the Marlins in Miami, he gave up 6. He gave up 5 to the White Sox. 4 earned runs, 5 runs overall to the White Sox. He gave up 7 earned runs to the Brewers, and then against the Twins, he gave up 7, and the Angels, he gave up 4. So I'm going to go back to the stack again here. Lonte, I mean, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it, right? So give me, I'm going to take Reese Olson. I'm going to take the Tigers minus 1.5 at that plus odds. I'm going to take the team totals as well for the Detroit Tigers. Their bats have woken up a little bit. So first 5 innings, 2.5, and then I'm pretty sure it'll be 4.5 just because of the name of the Detroit Tigers here, Delonte. So fading the Royals and more so Jordan Lyles in every which way.
Yeah, man. Hey, I couldn't disagree with you more. This is a horrific game. Please do not watch this if you're a fan of baseball, unless you got money. Matter of fact, if you got money on it, I still wouldn't watch it. I like the Yerfie. Also, we're going with the Detroit in the first 5. Detroit full game, man. I can't talk you out of anything you just said about Jordan Lyles. I mean, how can anybody with his track record of this season?
Yeah. You mentioned the Yerfie for him. Let me see if I can pull that up here.
Yeah, I didn't see it listed earlier when I was doing my notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the exact numbers. I know it happened in his last start, but the Royals scored in that first game or first inning.
Hey, it still counts, man. Still counts.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, 100%. So on the road, Jordan Lyles 4-2. The Yerfie is 4-2, but overall, in his 14 starts this season, it is 12-2. The Yerfie is. So take that for what it's worth. And again, the Royals are 0-14 in his 14 starts thus far this season. I mean, he has a record of 0-11. So take that for what it's worth and take it to the bank if you want to. All right, Lonte, before we continue the conversation here, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. That is Birddogs. And look, guys, it's the summertime. It's heating up. I know down here in Texas, it is scorching hot. It's going to be like the real feel. Actually, the temperature is going to be like 113 this upcoming week. So you're probably
113.
Yeah, 113 down here in Texas. So it's gonna get hot, and I'm checking out Birddogs to get me some nice, comfortable shorts, man. Birddogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Birddogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemons, but they fit way better. Hey, if you're going on a trip and it's going to be hot, whether it's the West Coast, whether it's a part of the country where it's scorching hot, or if you're going international, it's going to be hot. You're making a trip down to Cancun with some of the other teams, the NBA teams that are already there, and you may run into somebody. You want to look good. You want to look good in those shorts. So check out Birddog. They also have invented a cloud knit fabric that looks just like khakis, but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice on movement. They also have some incredible swim shorts as well. So do yourself a favor, go to birddogs.com/pool and enter promo code POOL for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. Again, get some nice looking shorts, and they're nice enough to throw in a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. So go to birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti tumbler, and you won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you that much. All right, Lonte, let's get over to the next game on the board. It's going to be another 6:40 Eastern start. We have 7:05 Eastern start. We have a battle of the NL Central teams, the Chicago Cubbies. They are headed to Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. I'm seeing Drew Smiley is getting the start here for the Cubbies. And Osvaldo Beto, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, is going to start for the Pirates. Cubbies are a -125 road favorite, plus 105 on the money line for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Total set at 9. Run line -1.5 plus 115 for the Cubs, and plus 1.5 -135 for the Pirates here. Lonte, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, man, Cubbies are rolling. I think we did a podcast. Was it Friday? Was it Friday that we did? And we were talking about the Cubs and how, it was time for them to start looking at some other, I guess, moving off some players, talking about Stroman going a few places. But, man, they've been rolling. They won 7 of their last 10, 5 in a row. Pitt's hit a little bit of a funk. They lost their last 5, including being swept by, the Cubs last week. I think that's when the Cubs started their run last week when they swept Pittsburgh at Wrigley. They actually got dominated in that outing, outscored 28-11 in that series, man. So that was pure domination by the Cubbies. And I think that was did Stroman go? No, Stroman just went. So yeah, that was at the back end of their rotation. So that just goes to show you how well they are playing right now. They do struggle on the road though, 13-21. Pirates are 18-16 at home. I'm not the biggest Smiley guy, although he did have a good day in May. I mean, he did have a good May, I'm sorry, outside of giving up 5 earned runs to Cincinnati, who's rolling right now. We'll get to them later. But, he's pitched well. Pitt roughed him up in his last start, 9 hits, 5 earned. It took a 6-inning, for them to pull away and give him the win in that game. But man, I'm leaning towards the home dog here. I think the Pirates can get it done at home to snap their losing streak. Um, I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest Drew Smyly fan. Pitt has success against him, like I was mentioning in our last matchup. So I think Pitt can get home, get settled in, get a much needed win in the division. And I know the Cubs are hot right now, but man, I like the home dog here, thinking that Pitt can stay around and probably steal one late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you mentioned, Drew Smyly's last start was against this Pirates team, and he did allow 5 earned runs in that game to the Pirates. He went 6 innings, allowed 5 earned runs, gave up 3 home runs in that game as well. The Cubs offense did carry the Cubs in that game, where they did get the 10-6 victory. But I know Smyly had gotten off to a really good start. I think it was his first, I want to say 6 starts where he didn't allow more than 2 earned runs, but he's allowed at least 3 earned runs in 4 straight starts or to the opposition, I should say. And he's allowed at least 5 earned runs in 2 of the last 4 starts. And the Cubs have lost 3 of his last 4 starts. So I think the way I want to do attack it, I do like that the Pirates are a plus money price here. It's slightly at plus 105, but again, definitely shop around. I wouldn't be surprised if this is at even money by the time the money comes in overnight on the Pirates. But I would look at Pirates team total in this game as well, whether that's in the first 5 innings or full game. I do think that they could continue to have success against Drew Smyly. And again, the Pirates against left-handed pitching, they are above average in most offensive statistical categories. So, there's always that conversation that maybe the pitcher has the advantage of seeing a batting lineup recently, but I feel like that really goes towards the offense because you kind of know what's coming from a pitcher. But like I mentioned, I agree with you, man. I do like the Pirates in this matchup as well. All right, let's get over to the next game on the board. It's going to be a 7:10 Eastern start. The Colorado Rockies just got absolutely spanked at Atlanta. They are headed to the red hot Reds right now. I believe they swept the Astros this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because I was on the Astros. No, I was on the Astros for 2 of those games, so I know for sure in 2 of them they swept.
Yeah, they lost today too, I believe, because I think that game just went final. I usually get alerts for the Astros on my phone. I know it went to extra innings. Let me see here. I think they won 9-7. Did the Reds in extra innings? Yeah. So they're headed back home. They're going to host the Colorado Rockies. I'm seeing Brandon Williamson is going to get the start here for the Cincinnati Reds, minus 140 on the money line. And Austin Gomber gets the start here for the Colorado Rockies, plus 120 on the money line. Total is set at 9.5. Run line minus 1.5, plus 140 for the Reds. And plus 1.5, minus 165 for Austin Gomber and the Colorado Rockies here, Lante. What are you thinking about this game? Are we fading the Reds or are we riding their hot streak?
Man, yeah, you gotta. Hey, listen, you don't make money betting against hot teams, man. I think the Reds are on fire right now. They've won. Well, I guess since they just beat the Astros, it would be 9 of 11, 8 in a row. They seem to have it clicking right now. I mean, I know the Astros are, like hurting without Jordan in the lineup, but still, that's a quality series to win and to perform at that level and sweep those guys. Man, I think that's something to say about that Reds team. They got a lot of youth. Getting some people in their ballpark. I'm pretty sure they're going to be amped up to get a bad Colorado team in there to try to put some more wins in the column. Man, I think it's pretty simple, man. Colorado's a bet against team for me. They've lost 7 of their last 10 and are 13-25 on the road. Gomber's allowed a bunch of hits, and I think the Reds have a chance to attack him early. And often they roughed him up in their May 17th meeting, scoring 5 runs on 8 hits. I think they're in better form than they were back then at home, riding that streak. They have a lot of momentum, and we see teams in baseball like this all the time. They catch, they get a rookie or 2 in the lineup, or some guys that they don't expect immediate production from come in, and it gives that offense and that team a lot of energy and a carry. So I'm going to ride Cincinnati here, man. Williamson, I mean, he hasn't been horrible, but, I mean, again, he's pitching against Colorado. I think they're still missing Bryant and who's the other bat that they were missing? Blackman. I can't remember. Yeah, Blackman. They're missing both of those guys. So, yeah, man, Colorado's a fade team all the way for me. Cincinnati bid on, so it's pretty simple. Give me that minus 1.5 on the run line. I'll take the Cincinnati team total over also.
Yeah, I think that right now, like you mentioned, without two bats, at least over the last 7 days, the Rockies are all the way down to number 29 in WRC plus. Team batting average has been slightly better at 224, but it still ranks number 21. And I'm going to filter this down to the last 2 weeks for the Colorado Rockies, and we're taking a look at it here that they're still well below league average, number 22 over the or number 22 as far as team batting average over the last 2 weeks. WRC plus that I love looking at. They are dead last over the last 2 weeks as well. So um, you also mentioned Brandon Williamson. He had a really good start against his Rockies team, not this season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was this season. I'm trying to find the date on that. Back on May 16th, a 3-1 victory for the Colorado Rockies. And I know he hasn't been in the greatest form, but I just want to trust his offense here for the Reds, man. They don't give up. Austin Gomber has been lackluster, I guess we can say, over the last 5 games. He's 1-2 with an 8.46 ERA. 22 and 1/3 innings pitched. Delonte, he's allowed 21 earned runs in that span. Also 7 home runs in that span as well. So I like the Reds to score runs here. I know it's Brandon Williamson, but I think I really do like that minus 1.5 price at plus 140 on the Reds here as well. I think they can get the job done on the run line as well.
Yep.
Next game on the board, 7:40 Eastern start. The Boston Red Sox, they are going to go to Minnesota to take on the Twins. James Paxton gets to start here for the Red Sox, and Pablo Lopez on the mound here for the Minnesota Twins. The Red Sox are a plus 105 road underdog, minus 125 on the price for the Minnesota Twins. Total is set at 8.5 with Vic towards the under at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 160 for the Twins, and plus 1.5 minus 190 for the Boston Red Sox. So a couple things here. Let's start with the Red Sox. They're kind of in a scheduling spot here. First of all, they played a doubleheader on Sunday against the New York Yankees. They're on that Sunday night baseball game against the
know
Yankees.
What you're ready for, man.
Hey, I think we're all ready for football, man. Still a ways away, but we're still going to be grinding out baseball here. But I just think it makes sense. I know the Twins, man, they burned me. They lost me a lot of money this past weekend. I tried to back them on the run line in the one game that I didn't. They actually won 2-0. I was going to go back to them on Sunday. Thankfully, I didn't because they took another L. But I just think that this is a spot where you probably want to fade the Red Sox. Again, doubleheader on Sunday. You're playing the Sunday night baseball game. You're traveling from Boston to Minnesota. I know Pablo Lopez hasn't been the greatest pitcher thus far this season. I'm trying to actually pull up his exact numbers here, but thus far on the season, 3-3 with a 4.27 ERA. His last 5 games of 4.75 ERA. Last at home, at least, 2-1 with a 5.88 ERA. He's put together 2 back-to-back great starts against the Rays and the Brewers. So maybe that's something that can continue here for him against this Red Sox team. Again, I just feel like this is a fade spot just because of the scheduling spot here for the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to take the Twins here, minus 125. James Paxton on the other side. I'll mention his numbers here as well. Thus far this season, Paxton is 2-1 with 3.09 ERA. His last start was against the Colorado Rockies, where, like we just talked about, they just haven't been swinging the bats very well. But his last 3 starts have actually been pretty good for the Boston Red Sox. He's allowed a combine of 3 earned runs in just 18 innings pitched. So, again, I'm just going to take the Twins here. I'm going to try to put some faith in them again to start the new week. Maybe they do me right this game, but at minus 125, just based off the spot here, Lonte, I'm going to take the Twins.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I didn't think about that scheduling spot until you just brought it up, because I was going to be on Boston, but now I'm completely off them, and I'm probably going to ride with you with Minnesota. I mean, both teams 500 in the last 10 games. Complete contrast of styles between both teams. Boston offense heavy, Minnesota defense heavy. So
yeah,
usually that tends to go towards the better defensive team. So I think Minnesota being that better defensive team, and I mean their offense hasn't been as bad as their season-long metrics have indicated as of late. You know, they've had pretty much good success against decent teams offensively. So they're 21-16 at home. They've won 3 of 5 in Boston this year. Minnesota's also 27-16 as a favorite, so that's in feather in the cap right there. You mentioned the Paxton numbers. I mean, 2 earned runs or fewer in 5 of his 6 starts. I'm sorry. And Lopez, I mean, like you said, I have my concerns with him, but like it seems like when he's on, he's owned. He's allowed 4+ runs in 5 of his last 10 starts. So in those other 5 starts, it's pretty much up and down, like 2 run, 1 run, or whatever. So like to see some more consistency with him. But man, I couldn't agree more with the spot. I like Minnesota here. Originally, I was going with Boston, but that Sunday night thing, I forgot about the doubleheader. I wanted to Alex Cora. Does he approve them playing this? He had a lot of complaints about the primetime scheduling of the Yankee and Boston series and talking about other teams play out. So, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Or did you even hear what he said about that?
Who was this? I'm sorry.
Cora for the manager for Red Sox.
Yeah. What did he say? I didn't catch that.
He was saying about, like, they had asked him about the primetime setting for Boston, New York, and how big of a deal it is, and he just tried to downplay it. It's like it's more than just 2 teams out here, and he would rather them not play on a primetime setting as much and just play regular baseball and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much do we put into this Red Sox Yankees rivalry anymore, right? I mean, it was a big deal when it was like, back in the heyday with Pedro Martinez, Manny Ramirez, even like Veritek and A-Rod for the Yankees and Derek Jeter and those guys. And it's really been like the playoff rivalry. I know the Red Sox haven't made the playoffs. They didn't make it last season. They made it to the season prior, but I think we can talk about those rivalries when we get into the playoffs and these 2 teams meet up in the playoffs. But regular season, I mean, you face each other. I know it's different now with the scheduling change in MLB, but I feel like it's a little overblown now between the Red Sox and the Yankees. So I think there's still bad blood still there. But again, you have different players and different managers and all that good stuff now between these teams. So I don't know, man. I kind of do agree with him. It's just 2 teams playing baseball now, but
yeah,
I think those conversations can happen if they meet each other in the playoffs. But yeah, man, I'm not gonna, as much as a Red Sox fan I am, like, I'm not gonna, if they're facing the Yankees, my eyes are not gonna be glued to that on the television set. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, that's true. I feel.
All right. What do we got? Next game on the board. Penultimate game here. We have an 8:10 Eastern start. We have the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are currently getting spanked right now by the Cleveland Guardians by a score of 11-1 in the bottom of the 4th.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it was Zach Davies' day in Arizona, so
they gotta get somebody else. I mean, we mentioned that.
We talked about this on Friday.
Yeah, man, they gotta get him out of there in the back end of that rotation. He's horrible right now.
Yeah, pretty good pitching matchup in this one, though. We got Merrill Kelly on the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Corbin Burns gets to start here for the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers are a slight home favorite at -120, even money for the Diamondbacks. Total set at 8. Run line +1.5, -200 for the Brewers, and -1.5, +170 for the Diamondbacks. I'm sure you could flip it the other way as well if you think the Brewers are going to win by 2 or more runs here. But Lance, what do you got for this game, man? Pretty good pitching matchup here between Kelly and Burns.
Man, yeah, great pitching duel. Actually, one that I just couldn't. I had trouble picking a side in it, so I'm going to probably lean towards the under here. Both pitchers likely to go deep into the game. Arizona, obviously not counting today. They've won 7 of the last 10. Milwaukee struggled a bit, losing 6 of the last 10. Arizona is 2-3, and they won 2 of 3 in the series in April. Corbin's been way better at home, 2 earned runs or fewer in 5 of his last 6 home starts. I'm a big fan of Kelly and what he does for that lineup and what he's done this year. 2 earned runs or fewer in 5 of his 6 road starts, man. So, like I said, it's hard to bet against good pitching and good teams, especially with how well Arizona plays on the road. I think that, Milwaukee, we all know Milwaukee struggles. It's offensively. Burns, he pretty much has to. I think Burns and Garrett Cole are in a similar situation where they go out on the mound and there's so much pressure for them to get a win because they know it's not much consistency behind them. So I think that adds pressure to him, which is probably why he's not been as good as he's been in his Cy Young year and previous years. So I'm gonna probably attack it on the under. Milwaukee is usually an under team at home. 2 of the 3 in the April series went under. I just think Burns can limit those Arizona bats, and I'm not really worried about Milwaukee's offense, especially not against a good pitcher like Merrill Kelly. So instead of trying to find a winner on the side, I'll take the total and go under. Maybe look at some K props for Corbin Burns, because I think Arizona has a tendency to, I don't know, have the strikeout numbers in front of me. Maybe you do. But it seems like they have certain games where they just don't have it, and they're whiffing on everything. And I think Corbin Burns has the stuff to make them swing and miss on a lot of different things. I should have probably had that in my notes, but I didn't put it in.
Let me see here. So against right-handed pitching, the Diamondbacks are number 29 out of 30 teams against right-handed pitching. Well, let me filter this down to road. And this is, let me do it for the full season because I was only over the last 2 weeks. So Arizona, they're right in the middle of the pack, number 16 against right-handed pitching on the road. As far as team strikeout percentage, and that's left-handed pitching. Why is he doing that? It's because I have it set on default here. All right, let's try this again. So right-handed pitching, Arizona is number 28. So it doesn't seem like they're striking out a lot against right-handed pitching. I'll mention this about Merrill Kelly. I know we talk a lot about Zach Gallen here on this podcast, Delonte, where he's really good at home, but Merrill Kelly has been a stud for this team on the road. 5-0 with a 2.12 ERA is Merrill Kelly. He's only allowed 8 earned runs in about 34 innings pitched for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You talked about Corbin Burns as well. He's coming off of a pretty good outing, we could say, against the Minnesota Twins. 6 innings pitched. He did allow 3 earned runs in that game. At home this season, 3-1 with a 3.27 ERA. At night, 5-3 with a 2.74 ERA. You compare that to his day ERA, 5.48 for Corbin Burns. So the number one thing that stuck out to me was the under in this game at under 8. I think that number is just a tad bit high. I think that number may close at 7.5 by the time we get to game time. I'll lean with the Diamondbacks here, man. I'm not too crazy about it. But
I couldn't pick a side, man. I couldn't pick a side.
It's tough. Again, the books are indicating it could go either way, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty much at
it.
Yeah. So under 8 for sure for me in this game between the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. Last game on the board, 8:10 Eastern Star. We have the New York Mets. They are headed down to Houston to take on the Houston Astros. Max Scherzer is going to be on the mound for the New York Mets, and Hunter Brown gets to start here for the Houston Astros. Astros are a minus 130 home favorite here, plus 110 on the money line for the New York Mets. Total set at 7.5, a little bit big towards the over at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5, plus 160 for the Astros, and plus 1.5, minus 190 for the New York Mets. We'll start here with Max Scherzer. Scherzer on the season thus far is, let me go back to that page here. He is 5-2 with a 4.45 ERA. Is really on the road where he does struggle here, Lonte. He does have a winning record of 3-2. But his ERA is 5.35, where he's allowed 21 earned runs in 53 1/3 innings pitched on the road thus far this season. His last start did come at home against the New York Yankees, where he did allow 6 earned runs in just 3 1/3 innings pitched. And his previous start was against the Atlanta Braves. So we talked about 2 good offenses. I know number 1 with the Yankees are without Aaron Judge, but they were still able to put up runs against him. And again, so we talked about the Atlanta Braves, which is absolutely murdering every pitcher right now, the amount of runs that they are scoring. But for Max Scherzer, they've been okay, like I mentioned, in his road starts. He is prone to giving up runs. And now you have the Astros team that should be motivated here because they absolutely got beat up by the Cincinnati Reds. And again, there's no shame in that because the Reds have really turned it around because that team just does not give up. On the other side, Hunter Brown gets to start here for the Houston Astros. On the season thus far, he is, let's see here, Hunter Brown is 6-3 with a 3.35 ERA. At home, 2-2 with a 3.21 ERA. The Astros did win his last start, which was against the Nationals in a 6-1 victory, but they lost his prior 2 starts against the Blue Jays and the Twins. God, I don't know if I can trust either team here right now, man. I know the Astros can put up runs. I'm not sure I do trust Max Scherzer on the road either. I'll lean with the Astros here at minus 130. I don't love it, but I feel like there is some value here on the over 7.5. Both pitchers are susceptible to giving up runs. Maybe a first 5 innings over. That number probably will be at 4 with a total of 7.5 for the full game. So I'll lean first 5 over 4. And then I will lean with the Houston Astros here, minus 130 on the money line here, Lante.
Yeah, man, I had a hard time handicapping this game too. On one end, I don't really like fading Max in back-to-back underwhelming starts. But the Mets, we were all on them, I think, last week. They just laid an egg at the end of that game, some throwing errors. They're 16-22 on the road. They're 6-14 as an underdog, man, which goes to show they don't have a lot of fight. Both teams have lost 7 of their last 10. I think Houston is in better shape to bounce back. You mentioned the numbers as far as them without Jordan in the lineup or whatever, but back-to-back 5+ earned runs allowed for Max. He's not played many solid offenses on the road, but when he has, it's been rough though. Atlanta, New York, even Detroit and Milwaukee, who we talked about previously, don't have the best offenses. Even they put up 5 runs on him. So, Houston at home, we all know what they do at home. Like I said, I don't like fading Max off back-to-back starts, but again, I was with him in the first start. I can't remember who it was, but I know he played Atlanta when him and Strider were going at it, and I thought it would be a low-scoring game, and they ended up being a home run derby. So, I guess take that for what it's worth. But Hunter Brown, man, 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 home starts. He usually goes 6-7 solid innings. I don't see him having a ton of issues with this Mets lineup. So, yeah, man, I'll lean to Houston side. More so looking at, I might take a first 5 under and then go back with the over once they get to the bullpens or whatever. But that's kind of how I'm going to play it. I'll probably put a little bit on Houston here in the first 5 also.
Yeah, this was another difficult game to handicap. Just because we don't know, we know what direction these two teams are going in, but we just don't know what you're going to get out of Max Scherzer sometimes, especially on the road. And as decent form, you come out and look like a Cy Young pitcher, and then the next 2 nights the next 2 starts, he can look really bad. And then Hunter Brown, like you mentioned, he's been really good at home for the Astros, but it's just that they're missing, Jordan in the lineup, and they've been dealing with injuries, especially in that pitching rotation as well. So I think there might be a good bounce back spot here for the Astros. But that is the last game of the night here, Lante. Like we mentioned, we are missing 2 games that are off the board, which is the White Sox game and then the Giants game. We don't have pitchers for those 2 games. So won't handicap those games, and we don't have lines for those games either, which leaves us one order of business that is going to be our lock and dog for the Monday schedule. Lante, lead us off, my man. What's your lock and dog?
Yeah, man. So I'm going to go, let's see if I can go with it. I'll go with the lock first. I'm going to take a home pup here, man. I'm going to take, where is it? Where am I? I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Pirates at home to snap their losing streak. I think it'll be a low scoring game. We mentioned Pitt having success against Smiley in his last start, so I think that plays a big part in it. I think they'll be accustomed to some of the things that he's doing back at home after losing. They've lost 5 in a row.
You're talking about the
Pirates. They've lost.
Let me see here. Pittsburgh.
I can't remember how many in a row it is. I thought I had it.
Let's see here. I got it. They've lost. So they got swept by the Brewers this weekend, and then they lost to the Cubbies in that prior series. So it's been 1, 2, 3, 6 in a row.
Yeah, so I think they snapped that 6-game losing streak at home here against the Cubbies. Not the biggest Smiley fan, even though his numbers indicate that he's been pitching pretty well, but just not the biggest fan of some of his stuff. I think Pittsburgh can get to him a little bit. As for the dog, man, I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Reds on the run line. Would you say that was plus 140? Is that still plus 140?
For the Reds, yes.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna keep. It's pretty simple, man. You fade teams that are bogus, and you ride teams that are hot. And we saw it firsthand with Colorado. Now, like you said, you can't take too much from with how Atlanta's playing right now. But at the end of the day, you saw what kind of fight Colorado put up in that series, man. They blew I think a couple games actually. Yeah. So I like Cincinnati. Good for them returning home after a big week for them. Probably they're not even accustomed to getting fans in that building, so they're going to be like all those fans are going to pack that arena. So give me Cincinnati on the run line, man. 1.5 plus 140 for my dog.
All right. All right. For my lock, I'm gonna go with the Detroit Tigers -1.5 plus 130. I'm gonna fade Jordan Lyles here. Um, Tigers were able to put up runs this weekend against the Minnesota Twins. They did face some of their better pitchers as well. And now you have a pitcher that's coming in that has lost, or the Royals have lost all 14 games that he has started this season. 0-14. He has a record of 0-11. I have something that's 100% on my side as far as the money lines at -145. You want to sprinkle on that. But they've been getting blown out of the water when Jordan Lyles is on the mound. So, and Reese Olson, like I mentioned, it's going to be his fourth start. His last start, he did get blown up. But again, we talked about it was against the Atlanta Braves, who are the hottest offense right now in the entire MLB, right up there with the Texas Rangers. So I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers -1.5 plus 130 as my lock. For my dog, we're gonna go with the double dog best bet here, man. I'm with you on the Reds, -1.5 plus 140. Brandon Williamson did have a really good start against the Rockies earlier this month. We talked about, and Austin Gomber has just been in bad form. And again, you just have a team that doesn't quit, man. This team kind of has this it factor with the Reds, where they're kind of playing with house money, man. The young guys are out there looking to prove something. Cruz has just been an absolute monster. The speed that this guy has for the Reds is just incredible to see. I mean, even if he hits a ball in the infield and it's going right to the shortstop, I think there's more than a likely possibility that he's going to beat it out, even if it's to go straight to the
I agree.
shortstop, man.
I agree, man.
That's
That's
just
like top tier speed, man.
so I think that they can carry this momentum of what they did against Houston back home against a team that's coming off of a series where they just got their doors blown off. So I'm going to go with the Reds with you, man. -1.5 plus 140 on the run line for the Reds against the Rockies. All right, Lante, that's going to do it, my man, for this Monday games episode for the MLB Gambling Podcast. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here, buddy?
Nah, man. Happy Father's Day to everybody that was tuned in with us. I hope you enjoy it with your loved ones. Yeah, man. Cherish your fathers and the mothers who are out there playing both roles. Salute to them also. Outside of that, man, not much. I'll be back later this week.
Yeah, we'll be back later this week. Like Lante mentioned, happy Father's Day to everybody listening. It's one of those days, like Lante mentioned, enjoy with your loved ones, enjoy it with your dads, enjoy it with your kids as well, man. So it's a good time, it's a good holiday. Appreciate all the fathers out there, what they are able to do for their loved ones. I'm surprised we didn't see Lante before we get out of here, like the blue, like the hats and bats that they usually have on in baseball on Father's Day. Did I miss a memo or something?
Yeah, man, I'm not sure either. Honestly, it's not surprising though, because I mean, MLB drops the ball with a lot of different things that they could do to get more eyes on the sport.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's just so many things that they just don't do well. If they're listening, maybe they can hire us. We can help them out in that category.
Yeah, definitely. They did make the rule changes for some more runs and excitement going on, but they've kind of dropped the ball on Father's Day with blue
Right, man.
hats and stuff like they used to have. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll try to figure out what happened.
you're the only sport going right now. I mean, counting College World Series, but it's only 2 games. Yeah, man, you gotta like get some premier matchups out here. And like more teams. I would think more teams will be playing today than they would. But I mean, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just trying to get more games to bet on. I mean, who knows?
All right, guys, we'll be back on Tuesday or on Monday for the Tuesday action. Again, if you haven't already left us a rating and review for the MLB Gambling Podcast, please go ahead and do so. I did see another review that came in before we get out of here. I will read that off. It comes from, I believe it was a regular left us reviews, the original CP3. He left a podcast review for our MLB Gambling Podcast, and it says title: Best Gambling Podcast in Sports. You guys are awesome. Mal and Dylan together are so great. Let Lante in there with them sometimes makes my day. Appreciate the review, man. Again, like I mentioned, if you haven't already, leave us a rating and review. We'll definitely shout you out on the podcast. All right, guys, good luck with your bets. let's break these books off and let it ride.